Hello and welcome to Summer Science 2021. My name is Jana and I'm a lecturer in human biology here at Canterbury Christchurch University. Today I would like to review a few popular science books for you. I'm going to start with my all-time favorite, and that is The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks. So this is written by Rebecca Sclord, scientist and a researcher. So it's called Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks. So even though Henrietta Lacks herself is long dead, her cells do live on in many laboratories all around the world in the cell culture. So what is so special about Henrietta, that her cells were actually the first to survive in the lab culture. So, inside the body, cells need specific conditions. So it took rather long time for scientists to get this right. So this book talks about the history of cell culturing. It started quite early in 1920s, and it wasn't until 50s that they actually succeeded in keeping cells alive for longer than a couple of days. So Henrietta really changed the medical world with her cells. Yes, most scientists don't really know her name. They know her as HeLa line cells. So that was the reason why Rebecca Sclord decided to write a book, not just about the cell lines, but about the woman herself. So, many medications we take today are down to progress in medicine thanks to Henrietta's cells. So, for example, a polio vaccine or chemotherapy, cloning, gene mapping, in vitro fertilization, has cells been to space as well to observe how human cells behave in space, and many others. So while this is non-fiction book about Henrietta Lacks and there is loads about the cell culture, it is also about Henrietta as a person, as people haven't really heard her story before. So who was Henrietta Lacks? She was from a very poor black family in the south of States. They were tobacco farmers. She moved to Baltimore in early 20s. She had quite a few kids. And sadly, she died very young. She was only 31 when she died of cervical cancer. And it's these cervical cells that were removed from her cervix that are still alive in cultures all around the world today. Those were the days where doctors could take any of your cells or anything and use it for science without your permission. So it was only after about 25 years that her family learned of importance of Henrietta and her cells, and they were rightly questioning why A, no one been told, and B, why they never really see a dime. This is their own words. So it is story where Henrietta's cells are being sold all over the world for, you have to pay for cell culture, for cells, and her family can't afford go to doctors. So this is in states where, healthcare is private. So it is actually a very important story, and it's important to read how people were treated, how scientists thought that, consent is not important. So all these things and issues are debated in the book, and that's why I would really recommend it to summer science. It's important point of view, and if you think, back in 1950s Baltimore, there was still segregation. People didn't have same rights. People were treated separately. So there was a ward for white patients, there was a ward for black patients. So whilst Henrietta was very pleased that she got treated for free. No one ever asked of, her consent. Obviously, things are much different today. Thanks God for that. And it's really interesting book to read. So that's my first recommendation. I'm gonna move into my second one. So this is a little book called How We Live and Why We Die: The Secret Life of Cells by Louis Wuppert. I would recommend this book definitely for maybe foundation science or first year science. It's a very easy book to read. It explains everything you would like to know about the cells. So we know that cellular life is the basic of the life in the universe as we know it. We have not found otherwise yet. So, and there are really little miracles of evolution. So this book will take you on an exciting journey of our cells. We have about 37 trillion cells in our bodies. We have many different type of cells. So we will be talking about what type of cells there are. What does cell do all day long anyway? So they have to grow, they have to reproduce, they have to maintain the structure. So proteins are used for this. So there's a little chapter also on proteins, how gene works, how we go from DNA to RNA to protein, central dogma, as we call it. What happens when cells stop obeying the orders? So abnormal growth, for example, as we know, it's cancer. So there's a little chapter on cancer as well, and it's it's really interesting book to read, and it's written in language that is very easy to understand. That's why I like this book. I use bits from this book to word my lectures as well, because sometimes I know it, but it's not easy to explain. So that's why I really would recommend this little book. Okay, next one. Okay, the next one's called Life Unfolding by Jamie and Davies. So what you can see here, that's a human blastocyst. So that would be about day 5 after human egg fertilization with sperm. And so I think that explains what it is about. So it's, Jamie Davies, he was fascinated how human body can go from single fertilized cell to us, to full human. So how is it organized, what are the influences? So this book will take you on the journey step by step of how human is made. So what happens pre-fertilization, what does need to be in place. It talks a little bit about how cells move. It also talks about what happens during the fertilization, and then mainly what happens after, when the heart is created, when baby's heart first starts pumping. So it's really interesting books. Especially I would recommend it for human biologists or bioscience. So that is the Life Unfolding. And I've got one more book for you. So this is also one of my favorites. So Neil Shubin, You're in a Fish. So Neil is one of the world leading experts on evolutionary biology, and most of his summers are spent at the Canadian Arctic Circle looking for fossils. So some time ago they found this fossil, Tiktaalik, and they got really, really excited. Why? Well, because for a long time we found fossils of primitive fish, and we found fossils of tetrapods, four-legged creatures that first roamed the earth. But we were missing this animal, this people call it missing link. I think now it's called the transition link. We had no evidence of it until the Tiktaalik, how they call it, because that's a Inuit word, was found. So with the found of this fossil, it was much easier to model and predict how our former lips were formed. And it's another reason to believe evolution, and to have a proof why evolution is true. And this book kind of explained how we came from fish to this transit form into being land dwellers. So I would definitely recommend it. If you like evolution like I do, then this book, it's nice, it's light, the print is decent size as well. So there you have it. So you're in a fish. So I hope you enjoyed my little book review. And if you have any questions, please drop me an email on jana.stasna@canterbury.ac.uk, and I've got plenty more books I can recommend, or we can have a little chat about something. So thank you for listening, and I'll see you soon. Bye.